Last time on the Sword and Shield anime, Ash and Gloria competed at the Grifflet tournament. Ash defeated Victor and Avery, Hop defeated Bede, Opal picked Bede as her successor, Hop evolved Raboot to defeat Ash, won the Grifflet tournament, and Ash tied against Marnie on their way to Spikemuth. It's now time for the finale of Season 2. What'll happen next? Find out right now. Episode 88. Ash and the group are almost at Spikemuth, when Team Rocket ambush them, stealing Pikachu. An intense fight ensues, James's Pincurchin self-destructs, causing everyone to blast off and get hurtled towards Spikemuth. Ash is lost and having trouble navigating the city, until he reunites with Marnie. She knows this place like the back of her hand, so she helps find the others. Meanwhile, Team Rocket crashes into a Team Yell party at the gym, initiating a fight. Marnie eventually finds Hop and Gloria, and they make their way to the gym, where they see Team Rocket losing. Realizing they're at a gym though, Jessie pulls out their Dynamax band in hopes of Dynamaxing their Pokemon, but it doesn't work. Piers then arrives, revealing that Spikemuth doesn't have a power spot, so Dynamaxing is impossible. This surprises the group. Piers then sends out his Obstagoon to defeat Team Rocket and free Pikachu. Episode 89. Marnie introduces the group to her brother. Piers asks if Marnie's planning to have a gym battle, but she declines. Instead, Ash and Hop play rock paper scissors to decide who gets to go first, and Hop wins. Piers agrees to battle him the next day after they had some rest. Later that night at the Pokemon Center, Marnie talks about how her brother wanted to pass down the gym to her, but she declined in order to pursue becoming champion. She feels a lot of pressure to show him how far she's come, which is why she wants to do more training before facing him. She warns Hop to not let his guard down, as just because Piers doesn't use Dynamax does not mean he's a pushover. The next day arrives and it's time for Hop's gym battle. It's a 3-on-3, starting with Wartortle versus Scrafty. Wartortle uses Aqua Tail, but Scrafty retaliates with Swagger, which confuses Wartortle and makes it hurt itself. Hop then uses Flip Turn to switch into Rhydon. Rhydon does damage with Drill Run, but it's hit with Scrafty's Head Smash. However, Rhydon's Sturdy ability allows it to hang tough, and finishes off Scrafty with Mega Horn. Piers then sends out Malamar. Rhydon hits it with Meteor Beam, but Malamar counters with Psycho Cut. Rhydon tries to use Heat Crash, but it dodges, and Malamar uses Hypnosis to put Rhydon to sleep. Piers uses this chance to finish off Rhydon with Liquidation. Hop then sends out Cinderace, and uses Pyro Ball, but is stopped by Night Slash. Hop switches tactics and uses Flame Charge, which gives Cinderace a speed boost. It then dodges Malamar's Hypnosis and takes it out with a double kick. Piers sends out his final Pokemon, Obstagoon. Hop switches back to Wartortle, but Obstagoon is overpowering it. Hop uses Flip Turn to switch back into Cinderace, which goes for double kick, but it's blocked with Obstruct, weakening Cinderace. Obstagoon then counters with the Cross Poison, which poisons Cinderace. Cinderace tries to use Pyro Ball, but it's blocked again with Obstruct, and Obstagoon takes it out with a brutal Throat Chop. Hop is now down to Wartortle. It uses Aqua Tail, but it's blocked with Obstruct. Obstagoon then strikes back with Double Edge. Piers begins to taunt Hop, and says that he'll never overcome Obstagoon's Obstruct. Hop gets upset for a second, but then calms down and comes up with a strategy. After successfully protecting from Throat Chop, Wartortle uses Rapid Spin. But just before contacting Obstruct, Hop tells Wartortle to change the spin's direction, hitting Obstagoon from behind. Piers is caught off guard, and Hop uses that chance to finish Obstagoon off with an Aqua Tail, winning Hop the battle. Piers is impressed with Hop's quick thinking, and awards him his 7th badge. And with that, now it's Ash's turn to battle. Episode 90. The next day, Hop receives a call from Leon, who reminds him that he'll be leaving Hammerlock in a few days. Hop tells him that they're waiting for Ash before heading over there. Ash assures them not to worry, as he's confident he'll beat Piers and make it to Hammerlock in time. It's now time for Ash versus Piers. Same as before, it's a 3-on-3. First up is Kubfu versus Malamar. Kubfu starts with Brick Break, but Malamar uses Hypnosis. Kubfu tries to dodge, but it's still put to sleep. Ash then switches to Centiskorch and uses Flame Wheel. Malamar fights back with Psycho Cut, but Centiskorch dodges the attack and uses Wrap to hold Malamar, and then finishes it off with X-Scissor. Assuming Scrafty would be next, Ash switches to Corviknight, but to his surprise, Piers uses Toxtricity instead. Toxtricity uses Overdrive, doing extreme damage. It's shaken up, so Piers follows with Snarl. Corviknight powers up with Hone Claws and then attacks with Steel Wing. However, Toxtricity takes the attack and uses a point-blank Volt Switch to take out Corviknight. Piers then switches to Obstagoon and taunts Ash for underestimating him. Ash sends out Centiskorch again and uses Flame Wheel, but Obstagoon blocks with Obstruct. Ash tries to redirect the attack, but Piers sees that coming and makes Obstagoon use a backwards Double Edge, and then defeats Centiskorch with Cross Poison. Piers said he'd figured Ash would try something like that after seeing yesterday's battle, so he made sure not to fall for that again. Ash is now left with his sleeping Kubfu. which wakes up after taking a cross poison from Obstagoon. Ash feels backed into a corner and desperately wishes he can Dynamax. Pierce can tell what's on Ash's mind and taunts him for heavily relying on Dynamax in his previous gym battles. This gets Ash and Kubfu riled up, leading to them falling for Obstagoon's Obstruct and Throat Chop combo, but Kubfu is able to counter with Brick Break. Ash is worried about Obstruct, so he focuses on countering Obstagoon's attacks to chip away. However, Pierce catches on and baits Ash into falling for the Obstruct and Throat Chop combo again. Ash is frustrated that he's losing. He reminds himself that he's the Alola champion. He can't afford to lose like this. He makes Kubfu charge forward with close combat, but Obstagoon blocks with Obstruct. Kubfu keeps attacking with all its strength until it breaks through though and lands a punch, surprising Pierce. However, Kubfu collapses from exhaustion, losing Ash the battle. Ash rushes to Kubfu and apologizes for pushing him too hard. Pierce then tells Ash that he doesn't care if he's the Alola champion. If he can't beat him, then he has no hope of reaching Leon. Later at the Pokemon Center, Ash apologizes to Hop for delaying their trip to Hammerlock and insists that Hop go on without him. He doesn't want to hold him back from getting his brother's approval that he worked so hard for. Hop accepts and leaves the group, but with the promise that they'll reunite once again. With Hop gone, Gloria asks Ash what he'll do, and Ash says that he's got a lot more growing to do, so he decides he'll do just what Hop did. He's returning to the Isle of Armor. Episode 91. Ash and Gloria return to the Isle of Armor, where Ash tells Mustard everything that's happened. Mustard realizes it's time for Ash to complete his training with Kubfu, so he sends them to the Tower of Darkness to strengthen their battles against Dark types. This is a training that they must do alone, which leaves Gloria and Pikachu feeling helpless. Luckily, Honey has a job for Gloria that will help Ash. At the Tower of Darkness, Ash and Kubfu battle their way through several Dark-type Pokemon, while Mustard coaches them and helps them learn. They eventually reach the final trainer, and to Ash's surprise, he uses an Obstagoon. This reminds Ash and Kubfu of their battle against Piers, which makes them struggle. However, Kubfu lands a Brick Break and reveals the Pokemon to actually be a Zoroark. After a hard-fought battle, Kubfu is able to win and passes the Tower Challenge. Mustard congratulates Ash and Kubfu, and reveals that Kubfu is now ready to evolve. Mustard instructs Kubfu to read the Scroll of Darkness, which causes it to evolve into Urshifu. Ash is really excited. Mustard then tells Ash that he has one final test before completing his training, to defeat him in a one-on-one battle. Episode 92. Honey asks Gloria to find Max Mushrooms for a Max Soup she's making for Ash's team. However, she also needs Max Honey from Honeycomb Island to help Gigantamax Ash's Kubfu. Gloria accepts the job and sets off on her journey. As Gloria travels across the Isle of Armor, she finds several Max Mushrooms and catches a few Pokemon along the way. She eventually catches a Vespiquen, and uses it to lead her to the Max Honey hidden inside a den beneath a tree. Just before she gets the Max Honey though, Gloria is faced by a G-Max Venusaur. Using her team, Ash's Pikachu, and even G-Max Toxtricity, Gloria defeats Venusaur and is able to catch it, her 7th G-Max Pokemon. Later that day, Ash returns with his team and introduces everyone to his newly evolved Urshifu. The team then enjoys the delicious Max Soup, prepared by Gloria and Honey to boost their strength for future battles. Episode 93. Ash and Urshifu are ready for their final one-on-one battle against Mustard. The rest of the team is out with Gloria, cheering for them. Mustard comes out and announces that he won't be holding back, and will use his full strength. He then sends out his own Urshifu, which trained in the Tower of Waters, and tells Ash it's time to see the results of his training. Ash starts with Aerial Ace, but Mustard's Urshifu dodges and uses Surging Strikes. Mustard states that Ash's attacks are too straightforward, and that although he trained in the darkness, he could learn from the flow of water as well. Ash's Urshifu is struggling to make contact, while Mustard's is more graceful, dodging and attacking with ease. It then goes for a Poison Jab, but Ash quickly counters with Brick Break, impressing Mustard. Mustard then goes for another Surging Strike. Ash tells Urshifu to watch his movements carefully, and counters with Close Combat. Ash's Urshifu charges forward, and perfectly counters Surging Strike. Both Urshifu continue to trade blows, with Ash's quickly learning from Mustard's. Ash then comes to a realization. He let everyone's expectations of him as the Alola champion get to him. He's gotten too comfortable. He acknowledges that it doesn't matter if he's a champion. He still has room to grow. Mustard smiles and tells Ash that Leon became the unbeatable champion by constantly pushing himself, and Ash should strive for the same thing. Ash takes these words to heart and tells his Urshifu to charge up its new move, Wicked Blow. Mustard's Urshifu charges up with a Focus Punch. Both Pokemon launch at each other, causing a huge explosion. They're evenly matched. Mustard says that he hasn't been this fired up in a long time, and decides it's time to Dynamax. Ash agrees, and they both Dynamax their Pokemon, unleashing G-Max Urshifu. They plan on settling this with one more move. Mustard uses G-Max Rapid Flow, and Ash uses G-Max One Blow. Both Urshifu charge up their attacks and strike at the same time. We then cut to the next day, where Mustard congratulates Ash on his progress and announces that he's officially completed his training. Ash and Gloria thank him, and they leave the Isle of Armor. Episode 94. Ash and Gloria reunite with Marnie at Spikemuth and catch up before heading to the gym for Ash's rematch. Pierce makes a snarky comment about Ash appearing stronger, but does that mean he's actually improved? Ash is unfazed and prepares for the battle. The 3-on-3 rematch begins with Pikachu versus Toxtricity. Toxtricity launches a Sludge Bomb, but Pikachu dodges with Quick Attack and uses Electro Web, trapping Toxtricity. It breaks free with Overdrive though. They then clash Thunderbolts with Volt Switch, with both moves connecting. Toxtricity is switched out with Scrafty, so Ash switches Pikachu for Centiskorch. And after a bit of back and forth, Scrafty uses High Jump Kick, but it's dodged with Flame Wheel. Centiskorch then lands an X-Scissor to defeat Scrafty. Toxtricity returns to the field, so Ash also sends out Pikachu to continue their fight. Toxtricity uses Overdrive, but Pikachu dodges and uses Thunderbolt. Toxtricity retaliates with Snarl, weakening Thunderbolt. It then attempts a Volt Switch, but Pikachu quickly traps it with Electro Web and then smacks it down with Iron Tail, creating an electric bomb that takes out Toxtricity. Pierce is impressed with Ash's quick thinking and sends out his final Pokemon, Obstagoon. Ash scatters Electro Webs across the battlefield and then uses Thunderbolt, causing them to blow up. Obstagoon can't see, so Pikachu takes advantage and lands an Iron Tail that paralyzes it with static. This activates Obstagoon's Guts ability though, and it strikes back with a powerful Double Edge. Ash then switches Pikachu for Centiskorch, and tries to use X-Scissor on Obstagoon's legs, but it's still stopped with Obstruct. We get a collision between Flame Wheel and Double Edge, but Obstagoon defeats it thanks to his Guts ability. Ash then sends out Urshifu, surprising Pierce and Marnie. Ash says to remember their training and focus on victory. They have an intense battle, and before Obstruct lands, Urshifu dodges with Aerial Ace. They continue to trade blows, with Urshifu carefully avoiding hitting Obstruct, until Obstagoon is slowed down by Static, allowing Urshifu to land a powerful close combat. It goes for one more, and Obstagoon bounces back with Obstruct, but Urshifu's Unseen Fist ability allows it to make contact. Ash didn't know this. With Ash caught off guard, Urshifu is hit with a Cross Poison, which poisons it. Ash then makes Urshifu use Aerial Ace from behind, but Pierce sees this coming and uses the backwards Double Edge. Urshifu then switches to Wicked Blow and uses all of its strength to overpower Obstagoon and take it out. Ash has won the battle and has earned his 7th badge. Pierce is impressed with Ash's growth, and Marnie is now inspired to challenge her brother herself. The episode ends with Ash and Gloria leaving Spikemuth and making their way to Hammerlock. And that wraps up Season 2 of my Sword and Shield anime series. Next time is Season 3. Let me know your favorite episode in the comments, and use hashtag ZachToshi_Rewrite to share your fan art. Shout out to the channel members for their support, and consider joining as well to watch these videos early. Last but not least, make sure to live your life to the fullest, and have yourself a damn good one.